Hello, welcome to the Her Show. I'm Trina Titus Lozano, pastoral counselor and ordained Christian minister. I'm on a parenting series, the ABCs, the absolute basic criteria for raising the next Christian generation. So please catch the previous episodes from A all the way to the letter L. You'll want to see every single one because I build on top of each one. Today I'm on the letter M. M is for maturity. This is what we want to do. We want to raise our children to be mature. Now, maturity means that they can accept full responsibility based on whatever age they are. So there are different qualifications for maturity at each age. For instance, a 2-year-old needs to act like a 2-year-old. Okay, so a mature 2-year-old is going to begin to start to potty train. Okay, at 2 years old, your children would be able to go potty on the toilet, and that's what you need to teach them. Okay, now a mature 16-year-old needs to behave like a 16-year-old, meaning they should be fully mature. They should be a 16-year-old acting like a 16-year-old, not acting like a 3-year-old. Okay, so your 16-year-old should not be throwing tantrums. Your 16-year-old should be mature, should be ready to drive, should be able to accept the responsibility of being a 16-year-old. So every age comes with a readiness, and at each age, to be mature for that age, they need to be able to accept full responsibility for the particular age where they are. And accepting the full responsibility, being mature, it's like a fruit. So if a fruit is mature, that means that it is fully ripened, okay? The fruit feels good. So you can just touch that fruit and know that it is ripened, means that it is ready to go. By the time your children are 18 years old, they need to be fully ripened, ready to move on to the rest of their life, being independent adults. Now, in order for your kids to become independent adults as an 18-year-old, they need to be able to accept personal responsibility for their own lives. And that's what accepting maturity means. I made a note here, and I'll just read it. Maturity means acting responsibly. It means learning from your mistakes and trying to not make the same ones over and over and over again. So you want to teach your children how to learn from their mistakes, and this will bring them into a place of maturity. It means seeing life in a broader context. It means relying on your own resources to resolve problems and challenges that come up in everyday life. And it means sacrificing play when there's work to be done. So see, you can teach a 5-year-old to be a mature 5-year-old, which means they can sacrifice play in order for work to be done. And in order for you to raise responsible, mature children, by the time they're 18, they have to be maturing as they are aging. So you want to help them accept responsibility at every age. So as they have a birthday, you're not just going to have a birthday party and a celebration and eat cake and blow out candles and open presents and have balloons and all of these wonderful things. Then you will be able to add responsibility because your child has come into a new age, which means that they need to accept new responsibility. There's a scripture that says that we need to each accept our own responsibility. Talks about bearing our own burden. So as we bear our own burden, think of it if we're wearing a backpack, okay? And this backpack is our responsibility. So the scripture says, bear your own responsibility. Actually, it talks about bearing one another's burdens, each bearing your own. Okay, so that's the way the verse goes, which seems like sort of a contradiction there. To bear one another's burdens, but each bearing your own. Well, if you're going to help bear your children's burdens, it means like as if you place your hand underneath the backpack and lift up, so that backpack's not quite so heavy. So as the parent, you want to lift up that backpack, but don't ever take it off of your children. Don't take their backpack. They all need to learn to bear their own backpack, to take responsibility for their own life. Now, a 5-year-old needs to be starting to take responsibility to make their own bed, okay? A 10-year-old needs to be accepting responsibility to do their own laundry, to pack their own backpack, to make their own lunches, to unpack their backpack. These are things that they need to learn by the time they're about 10 years old. They've got their own responsibilities. They've got responsibilities for their own homework. They've got responsibilities to do their own chores. We need to give our child responsibilities. They will never become mature if we always take their responsibilities for them. Now you can help them, okay? Sort of like you would be lifting the backpack, but don't take it off of them, okay? Or they will never become mature adults if you take their responsibility away from them. This is how they will become mature when they're 18, is if they're maturing a little bit all along the way. So when my daughter Brittany was 19 years old, she was mature enough to get married. Now you might think that is way too young to get married, and you know, for most people it is. But I had prepared her to be ready to be a wife when she was 19. She had already graduated from college. So she graduated from high school early, then she graduated from college early, and you know what? She had a full-time job, she had no debt, she had no car payments, she owned her car, and she was mature. She was completely independent and ready to be a wife. So because she was mature, we could bless her marriage. She was actually ready to get married as a 19-year-old. And some people, they are not even mature enough to get married as a 30-year-old. I think that's tragic. I think that means that the parents didn't do their job well when the child was younger and give them their own responsibilities. Then their parents did not release them well. You have this thing called a failure to launch, where you have adults living at their home behaving like they are children. Okay, no, that's an oxymoron. We do not have adult children, okay? We have adult sons and daughters, but we need to raise our children to become adults. By the time they're 18, 19, 20, 21, for sure by the time they're graduated from college, they need to be completely independent. Okay, so we want our children to be flying out of the nest with this independent confidence because we have raised them to be mature. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is the love chapter. Okay, so in the letter L, I talked about love, but 2 Corinthians 13 is the maturity chapter. Here's the verse, and this is verse 11. Dear brothers and sisters, I close my letter with these last words. Be joyful. Grow to maturity. Encourage each other. Live in harmony and peace. Then the God of love and peace will be with you. Okay, so we're going to grow in maturity, and our children are going to be growing in maturity. Okay, tantrums, those are just for babies. Okay, so don't allow your children to have tantrums. And I certainly hope that you've outgrown having tantrums. Okay, no tantrums from the adult in your house. There's no joy, love, and peace when there are people throwing tantrums, when there are people screaming, when there are people fighting. We are to live in harmony. And the Home Experience book talks about making your home a place of love and peace. If you don't already have this book, please get it. It's a handbook for you, and I think it will be a real blessing in your life. And it's in our store at kingdomglobal.com. You can get it right there in the store. And my mom, Debbie Titus, and I wrote this together, and it's a great book to help you make your home a place of love and peace. So as you're raising your children to grow in maturity, we are encouraging love and peace and harmony, and we're encouraging them to accept responsibility based on whatever age they are. So God bless you today. Thank you for joining me for this parenting series, the ABCs, the absolute basic criteria for raising the next Christian generation. And I will be back next Friday morning. You know the letter that's coming up, the letter N. Thanks for joining me. Hugs and high fives. Bye-bye.